Do you want to become a talk show host? Do you have a great idea? Passionate World Talk Radio is currently looking for podcast hosts for our internet talk radio station. Please email us at pwrnetworkllc@gmail.com with your name, email address, cell phone number, and podcast topic. In return, you will receive a 3-minute intro on air to a live audience about your podcast. Remember, just email us your name, email address, and your podcast topic, and in return, you will receive a free 3-minute intro on the air. How cool is that? Welcome to Passionate World Talk Radio. Educate, enlighten, entertain.
Welcome to Passionate World Talk Radio. Educate, enlighten, and entertain. I'm Shannon Zeman, and thank you for joining us on the most important 15 minutes of your day, where we share expert information on safety and preparedness that you can use in your everyday life. Situational awareness in the everyday world is not about paranoia. It's not about keeping your head on a constant swivel looking for a threat. It is practicing being mindful and present in your everyday life. The more you work on listening to trust your intuition, the more you will discover the quiet confidence that you do know your surroundings. Joining me today is my friend Kelly Sayre. I know she's in person. Yay! Founder and owner of the Diamond Air Group. She believes all women can learn how to be more situational aware to keep themselves and their loved ones safe. She draws on her vast research and knowledge to help women understand how to use their skills they already have for their personal safety. So thank you for joining me.
Yes, I was going to say thank you. This is so exciting to be in person with you, actually, instead of over the phone. But this is a really important topic for women because you do know what to do if your intuition tells you something's off in your environment. You do know what action to take to get to safety. Mm-hmm. But learning to trust and listen so that you can respond faster is what's really important. And there's a lot of little habits that you can start incorporating into your daily life, and that'll have a big impact on your personal safety. And one of the first things I wanted to touch on is describing people. That is a big part when you think about your personal safety, is if you have to, what did that person look like, or why did that person make you feel uncomfortable? Right. A lot of times it is their nonverbals, and that's hard to describe because you can't say, well, he said, she said stuff. It's, well, he moved his arms this way. She was trying not to make me aware that she was watching me, those type of things. So, and then practicing describing qualities about people, because in today's day and age, we don't want to seem judgmental for the wrong reasons. All the is, we don't want to be racist, sexist, ageist, ableist, any of those. So one thing that I like to do is when I'm driving a car and I'm at a stoplight, I'll look over at the vehicle next to me and then look away and say, okay, if I had to describe the driver, how would I do it? And I verbally say it out loud. So I probably only do this when I'm by myself. Or if someone's at a crosswalk, and I'm at the stoplight, is how would I describe that person? Because we think, oh yeah, I could totally do it. And then, well, how would you describe, that person? Yeah. And all of a sudden you find yourself stumbling, and you think about, well, how can I do it that doesn't sound, okay, think of height, think of hair or no hair, think of any visible tattoos, any other, jewelry that stood out to you, or, was it about your height or shorter, taller? So think of words like that. A lot of times people say eye color, and I don't know, for me, I have such a hard time noticing eye color in people. So really for me, practicing more of that physical description of what they were wearing is what I like to do. And then kind of going along on that same driving theme is it's great to practice, where are you right now? And I use that in the example of, if something would happen, if you were in a car accident and you needed to call for help or needed to get officers to respond, how would you tell them where you were?
Right.
And so often with GPS, we don't pay attention. It's just like, take a left here, take a right there.
Yeah.
And so at any given time, if you would get a flat tire, especially let's say if you're driving on traveling on a freeway, just every once in a while, what exit are you passing? You know, if you happen to glance at a mile marker, if you're cross streets, it's where are you right now, and being able to describe it so that if someone had to come find you, they would know where to go. And, you know, sometimes for women, I know they say, I'm directionally challenged. I don't know, northwest, east, south, or roads. Okay, then I'm near this building. I'm near this landmark. Yes, I'm sure dispatch would much prefer that you knew the exact side streets and cross streets, but they'll take anything that they can. So.
And that's really good because I know in my daily life, right, we have so much going on that a lot of times when, especially when we're in the car, we're kind of like zoned out. We're kind of recuperating from what we just came from or where we're going to or different things like that. So just using these tools, even for the fact of keeping us more present in where we are and in what we're doing. I know I love the fact that you're saying you look over and think of the people and then, you know, have a nice little conversation with yourself afterwards. But there's so many times where people are almost uncomfortable to look at other people because they're afraid, you know, oh, I don't want to offend that person, or I don't want them to think I'm a creeper. But still, you do need to know your environment. And there's so many times that I know in myself, I've doubted that intuition, that little, like the hair on the back of my neck, or that little thought in my head that, you know, I should have been aware more of a situation and I ignored it. And I don't think that we give ourselves as women that credit for, you know, the amazing beings that we are inside, and, you know, that we're built for that and for that protection and for that description and everything.
And two things on that quick. Another thing about glancing to the side, because yes, we don't ever why it's staring at me. It's practicing scanning your environment, which you should always do versus getting fixated on a specific thing. Practicing scanning in a non-threatening way or in a non-creepy way is a good habit to get into. And then to your point about, as women, we are natural caretakers. We are natural nurturers. That's ingrained in us. And that's comes from our ability to read nonverbals. I know when a friend's off. I know when I walk into a place and the energy feels, the vibe is, oh, something's not right here.
Right.
And no offense, guys, but guys are like, what? You're probably overacting, reading into it. And that's a natural gift that women have. And to use it in essence of your personal safety, like, gosh, that person is making me really uncomfortable because every time I look, I feel like they're looking at me, but when I look, they're looking away.
Yeah.
And so getting in practice of reading people, not only to describe them, but how are they feeling? Are they having a good day, a bad day? Are they stressed? Are they super happy? Practicing reading those nonverbals. And that's reading people, again, tying in all of those strengths that women have naturally.
Right.
I mean, if you have children, before your kids can verbally communicate what they want, you know, as a mom, okay, they want their chicken nuggets, their green beans cut in half. They want the blue cup, not the red cup. You know, heaven forbid you give them the wrong silverware, or what utensils to use. And everyone else here is Charlie Brown's teacher. So like, what? How did you know what they were saying?
Right.
And that can even come into taking care of, if you don't have small children around you, taking care of an older family member who maybe had a stroke and now they've lost a lot of their verbal communication skills. You can still, you know what they want by the way they maybe point or what they're looking at. You know, how often you're like, what are you looking at? And then you follow someone's gaze and you're like, oh, I see what you're seeing.
Right.
So again, reading nonverbals, we take for granted that we do it all the time.
Right.
As mothers, we know when our kids are hiding something from us, or maybe they have a snack in their hand, just because of the way they're holding their arm in their hand or looking around, they don't want us to see. And we know. So now it's just looking at those same skills you use every day from the perspective of your personal safety.
Yeah. And I think also, like, I know in situations where we're talking about situational awareness and we're talking about, mindfulness and being present in the fact of keeping us safe and our loved ones safe. There's been situations where, like I said, I've felt uncomfortable. I felt something was wrong, but I was afraid to offend anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And in that situation, jeopardizing my safety and the people around me, because, okay, so what if I make one person offended or a little uncomfortable, but we're able to protect all these other people that are important? And so I think it's instilling the belief in ourselves to hear that word and to identify it.
Well, and a lot of that comes in owning your space and being okay to own your space, because a lot of times it's those boundary pushes. You get too close, or want us to do something we don't want to do, and we feel, I don't want to make them feel bad, or I want to be nice, I want to be kind. And there's absolutely, yes, please be kind. The world needs more kindness, but also not at your expense.
Right.
Like, you're worth owning your space. You're worth defending your boundaries and being able to be direct. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to be nice. Well, sure, if you could, would you mind? And just say, you need to back up a little bit. I use sarcasm and humor to verbalize, as I know, really shocking, to verbalize and test, because again, I think I like to give people who I'm like, I'm not sure if there's any ill intent. I think they're just unaware that they're sitting really close. They're maybe engrossed in their electronic or their book, whatever it may be. But giving them that opportunity, I make a joke like, hey, I know my perfume smells good, but you're getting a little too close and I want to burn your nose hairs. Again, it's saying stuff, whatever works for you.
Yeah.
But practicing verbalizing that. So next time you're driving in your car by yourself, start coming up with funny ways to tell people to either back off, or you don't want to go somewhere, making up an excuse.
Right.
I think we can think a lot of times in our head. And then if we haven't said it out loud, when the time comes, we're like, and then later we're like, I wish I would have said this.
Oh, I've done that so many times. Like, oh, this would have been perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I didn't have that. No. So I just tell you, these kind of things are really, I think they're really pertinent for women. And what would be one example, let's say, that you give maybe when you're talking about situational awareness, or in essence, for me, it's more standing up for yourself, like owning the strength of your voice and knowing that, okay, yeah, so this person might be twice the size of you, but being direct, using your voice, that you can stand up for yourself. Like, you work so hard to empower women, and I think this is like it would be a great time if you could share a little bit of that, like empowering them, giving them that, like feeling your hand,
firm,
right, yeah.
So my little gentle push, nudge on the back is, next time somebody's going in, maybe it's a friend of a friend, and especially right now with the pandemic, but people, if you don't want to hug someone, just say, no, thank you. And I'm like, come on, just give me a hug. And you're like, no, Billy, I don't want to hug. And then you don't have to explain why.
Right.
Just, so try it with those people who you probably know.
Yeah.
And know that that's okay. And if they respond negatively, or to like, geez, again, not on you.
Yeah.
It's not on you, it's on them.
Right.
That's your space, and it's okay for you to want to honor that space and say, no, I don't, because maybe their hugs are a little too long, or they linger, or some does make you uncomfortable. You don't have to sacrifice your comfort level to please somebody else. So just remember that.
Yeah. And I actually had a friend that went into the grocery store recently. I told you the story. And there was a guy that followed her from behind and literally like stayed really close to her. And she got the heebie-jeebies from the moment, but she was afraid because that she didn't want to offend him. Right. So that's what we do. And then, he started telling her that she has beautiful feet and he really likes feet. And, it just even giving her weirder and weirder signs. And she said like her voice was frozen, and, she she felt she didn't have any power in this situation. And so I called you right away. I'm like, oh, we have to talk about this. Like we have to let people know. And I love the point that you say, you can say no and you don't have to explain why. Because there's so many times we feel like we have to justify our no, or we have to say, why we're feeling this or why we're not going, instead of just owning our power of that.
And your friend too is, see, you could look at it as a progression of him testing. Okay, I'm going to follow her really close and see if she says anything. Okay, she hasn't said anything. So now I'm going to start verbally saying things. And now she's not responding. So now what is the next thing? And that's where someone's following you. Again, you don't know for sure if they have ill intent or not. But if you turn around and you're like, hey, can I help you? If someone has no ill intent and they were just completely oblivious that they were getting close to you, they're going to be, oh, I'm so sorry. That's what most people would do. Anyone who's like, and gets upset, well, then okay, well, your intentions, you had other intentions. And I've caught you and I'm calling you out and saying, this is not okay. You're following too close.
Yeah, that's perfect. I love that. Well, that's good. Now, do you have any other closing advice or anything that you want to share with everybody?
Ladies, you already have all of these skills inside of you. You just need to look at them from a different perspective and build the confidence in yourself and say, I am worth it. I deserve this. This is it. I want to own my space, and you will get there. You don't have to have some superhuman skill. You already have it.
Amen. That's beautiful. That's why we have Kelly here with us. Yay. So thank you so much. She flew all the way out here from Minnesota just for this. I'm just kidding. But
the timing was impeccable.
It was
awesome.
So perfect. So I'm so excited you're here. And thank you for sharing your wonderful knowledge and empowering all the women out there, and keep up the awesome work you're doing with the Diamond Arrow group too. So, and you'll be seeing us together a lot more, we hope. So
lots of stuff in plan.
Yeah, it's exciting. So thank you for listening to Passionate World Talk Radio. You've been listening to the most important 15 minutes of your day with Shannon Zeman, me, and you can listen to this podcast wherever you find your favorite podcasts. And remember, with knowledge, you have the power.
Do you want to become a talk show host? Do you have a great idea? Passionate World Talk Radio is currently looking for podcast hosts for our internet talk radio station. Please email us at pwrnetworkllc@gmail.com with your name, email address, cell phone number, and podcast topic. In return, you will receive a 3-minute intro on air to a live audience about your podcast. Remember, just email us your name, email address, and your podcast topic, and in return, you will receive a free 3-minute intro on the air. How cool is that? Thank you for listening to Passionate World Talk Radio. You can listen to this program all over again by going over to https://passionateworldtalkradio.com. You can also hear it on Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Alexa, AMFM247.com every Tuesday evening between 8 and 9 p.m. YouTube, Facebook, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, and all the other podcast directories one can find on the internet.